Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you my day 3 preview for Royal Ascot. It's been a great day for us today. We had one winner and 5 each ways, and hopefully we can continue the same tomorrow. Before I get into those tips, I'll just do a quick recap on how our picks went today. We'll just do a review. We'll start with our winner first of all, which was Tactical in the Windsor Castle. Now I've got to be honest with you, we were hitting the crossbar quite a lot today, even though we'd been having little bits of profits here and there with the each ways coming in. We were still waiting for that winner, and I had a massive roar and a shout when Tactical got over the line for James Doyle and Andrew Bolden. He really did improve from his Newmarket run, and he was really well gambled. We put him up last night at 7-1 each way, and he went off at 7-2. So the money was down, and they were obviously expecting a good run. Andrew Bolden was saying that they thought he would definitely improve for that Newmarket performance, where he ran a really eye-catching third. And I'm not sure how good he's going to be in the future, but he's very professional at the moment, and it'll be definitely interesting to see where he goes next. But it's nice that we've broken that duck now. You don't want to be going into tomorrow when we were relying on our penultimate race to have our first winner of the week. So it's great that we've got that monkey off our back, and hopefully he'll have a nice season Tactical moving forward. Elsewhere, our NAP was advertised at 7 places with a FARC at 16-1. There were some firms paying out. Skybet were definitely playing out seven places. And if you also as well are with Betfair, you can set at the moment to have as many places as you want. I think the max though is normally around about 8 places. So you can always do that. But the only thing about that is it does reduce your stake or your odds down, I should say. So say for example you select a horse at 20-1 and you want 8 places, that just shrinks the odds down. It probably I can't work it out off the top of my head, but it might make it, instead of being a 20-1 shot, it might make it a 10-1 shot with 8 places. But it's still a good system to use. And if you want to sign up to Betfair and get £20 worth of free bets, make sure you hit the link below where you'll get a £20 free bet for new customers. You can sign up and use the exchange, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later on when we do Loaders Lay, and hopefully we can get back to winning ways there. It's not been so good today, but yeah, Betfair Exchange, great product to use, and I'd highly recommend it. And if you want those free bets, click in the link below and then just follow the instructions. But yeah, it was a good day with a FARC with the 7 places at 16-1, just creeping home. It was kind of one of those days. Berlin Tango as well. I thought he ran a really solid race in the Hampton Court, finishing 3rd place. Oisin Murphy couldn't have done anything more. Got him in the right position, but just given away that penalty, giving a few pounds away to Russian Emperor, probably made the difference, but still ran a really credible race. And it shows that performance at Kempton was actually a nice little race with Pile Driver coming and boosting that form as well. So yeah, Berlin Tango, no complaints with him. We then had a Winner Clock. Now Winner Clock, you could have got 7 places out there with some firms, finished in 7th place. So if you did get the 7 places at 8-1, you would have got a little bit back there. But I know some of you might not have. There was only 5 or 6 places with a lot of bookmakers, but there was 7 out there with Betfair, and there was also as well a couple of others that I've forgotten off the top of my head. But yeah, if you're complaining and go, oh, I didn't get these extra places, make sure you shop around. And Odds Checker is normally the best app to follow for that, and you'll see as many places as you can get. And it's good to have as many accounts with as many different firms as you can, especially in a week like this where you're hunting around for value with those extra places, if you like me and you like getting the most places you can. But yeah, Winner Clock, I think he'll be winning races later on the season. He got in a little bit of traffic under Holly Doyle. He was out the back for a long way, but he ran on really strongly, and he's definitely going to be a stayer. I think he's definitely one to follow next time, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes. Adieb in the Prince of Wales ran his race. The only problem was those showers that were predicted to come never came. I'm down in the south coast, and we were meant to have rain today, and I haven't seen a drop of rain at the current time of recording, which is just after 5 o'clock. So yeah, yeah, it's a shame that the rain didn't come. But Lord North, bit frustrating. Horse I like, because I backed him last year for the Cambridgeshire. I wasn't so sure if he would live up to expectations and maybe be a group company horse, but he's proved me wrong. Won nicely at Haydock last time, and he won very well today. Bit odd as well, Frankie wasn't booked on that one. I would have thought he would have, because he rode him in the Cambridgeshire. So yeah, it was a good race. Japan, I have my doubts about him. If you watched my video yesterday, you will know that I'm not always keen on these Aidan O'Brien hot pots. Normally, if they're coming out first time, I think they're normally a laying job. But I just thought that Japan, he was the classiest horse in the race on paper, with his form from last year, Group 1 winner, and then his 4th place in the Arc behind Enable and Voldgeist. Solid form, but he probably needed the run, a bit like Mogul as well, on the first day. A lot of Aidan O'Brien's, he has superstars, they always need their run first time out, it appears. But yeah, that's how it went on Prince of Wales, and we've already spoken about a Fark, we've spoken about Tactical, and then our next best, Floating Artist. Yeah, ran a solid race, got in a good position under Pat Dobbs, and he really relished the trip. Probably just a bit high in the weights, maybe didn't see him get involved for the win, but if you got the 5 places, which a lot of firms were, you could have got as big as 16-1, which I got last night. So if you were on at 16-1, 5 places, again, another each way profit. The only tip that failed us was Uzo, who, to be fair, actually ran on quite well in the last furlong, but at the beginning of the race he just didn't look comfortable, and I'm not sure what was amiss, if something was amiss, but he did run on really strongly, and it proved again that the stand side was the place to be. Tactical as well was our winner. You'd want to be kind of drawn high. It's something that you see time after time. You do get from maybe on the odd occasion those some races at Ascot down the straight course where maybe the far side does come into play, but more often than not, I'd say 70 to 80% of the time, it always pays to be towards the stand sides. And if you don't know what the stand side is, I saw one of the people put in the comments, what is the stand side? It's where the audience are, so it's the nearest side of the camera, and that's where you, in my opinion, you want to be looking at your horses, and they're the high numbers, so you're normally talking double digits. If you're a complete novice, that's the kind of area you want your horses to be drawn, and it's something I always try and put in my tips, and I will always mention it if I can, especially on the straight course, because I do think it makes a massive difference. And if you've got a low figure number draw, I saw people in the comments were talking about Maydani. They fancied him yesterday. I mean, lovely horse, and he probably will be one to mark up because of his performance on the wrong side of the track. But that's what gave way to his chances. Maybe if he'd been on the higher end of the track, maybe he would have got involved to fight out for the finish, because he did run really well despite being on the wrong side of the track. But yeah, that's the way how it goes. But at least we had a profitable day today. We've got the monkey off our back of our first winner. Also, as well, I should just mention as well, our lay did lose. I did put up the lay of the day was Kipps in the place market, but it wasn't the biggest liability in the world if you played there. He finished in 2nd place in the race where we tipped up winner clock. But yeah, it's been disappointing the last 2 days on that, but we're still 3-2 since we introduced the idea at the weekend. And if you want, like I said, those free bets for the Betfair exchange, please make sure you click the link below for the £20 free bet on the exchange. And we'll talk about my lay of the day in the final race. And I've probably already given it away which horse it is, because it's a really short price favourite. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we'll get straight into the thick end of things now, arguing my cases why I fancy these horses tomorrow. And in the 1:15, the first race of the day, the Golden Gates Handicap, I'm going with a horse here called Cepheus. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Trained by Brian Meehan, and Jim Crowley's booked for the ride. Now, this horse ran last time we saw him in the 2,000 guineas. He was, I think he was 150 to 1 shot, something like that. But that was just a prep run for something like this. Brian Meehan probably just needed to get him out, and yeah, he wasn't up there with the main contenders, but he's had a run and he'll come on for it. I actually read on Brian Meehan's website when I was doing research for this horse that they wanted to get a prep into him. They didn't expect him to feature in the Guineas. They just honestly used it as a prep run for bigger and better things. And they said this race had come just in time, and they were really confident about him running a good race. They said he had a great each way chance. And that was confirmed after I kind of had selected him. It didn't influence me in my decision, but it only helps, doesn't it, to hear good vibes from the yard. But I just thought off a mark of 87 tomorrow, that could be quite fair, because he won very well at a Newmarket on debut on the July course, and then he wasn't seen again until recently. And Brian Meehan's stable have been going okay. They've had a couple of winners. They had a runner in that race, actually, the King George, the 5th handicap, called Arthurian Fame, I think it might have been, or I can't remember the name of it now. It's Arthurian something, but it finished in 5th place in that race, and it shows that his stable are not in bad form. And he's got the man of the moment at the moment, which is Jim Crowley, former champion jockey, riding great guns, had a few winners already at the Royal Meeting, and I just thought this horse could be well handicapped in what looks a tricky race. You can get 25 to 1. Which I thought was quite a big price, and you can get 5 places each way on this race as well. And I just thought, as a speculative bet, small stakes, this is going to be Loader's Longshot tomorrow. I didn't have one for today, but yeah, this is going to be my longest shot of the day tomorrow. And stall 12, which isn't going to be a bad draw. It's not on the straight course, so go around the bend because the trip is over 1 mile and 2 furlongs, 10 furlongs. And I just think Cepheus tomorrow, Brian Meehan can have the odd Royal Ascot winner. He had Petrus won the big handicaps for him a couple of years ago. I wouldn't be at all surprised if this horse ran a really good race. And for me, yeah, I think he's got a good chance of going well, even though some of the horses at the top end of the market, I think Hypothetical's in the horse I do like. I just like to take stuff in with a bit more of a bigger price, because I think some of those at the top of the market are a little bit short for my money, and I think it could be quite a tricky race to get stuck into. But yeah, Cepheus would be my tip in the first. We then go to the Wolferton Stakes, the 150, and I'm going with a horse here called Regal Reality for, again, Jim Crowley and Sir Michael Stout. Now, at the current time of recording, Sir Michael Stout actually hasn't had a winner at Royal Ascot so far, which is something I wouldn't have thought I would be saying going into Royal Ascot. He normally always has plenty of winners there, but maybe this could break his duck so far. This horse is probably the best horse in the race on form. Finished 3rd last year to Enable and Magical, who were 2 superstars of last season. They both went on to win more Group 1s. And yeah, Regal Reality was a bit of a monkey, but he's been gelded now, and I think that should help him. The big message from today, such as like Lord North and Adieb, a lot of the horses that came to the fore today have been gelded, and maybe that's just going to help Regal Reality. He's already a Group 3 winner. He won the Brigadier Gerard Stakes at Sandown over 10 furlongs last year at Sandown, so that's a positive. He did appear at Ascot on Champions Day, but that was soft ground, and he doesn't want that. So as long as those showers don't come, he should get his conditions. And like I said, he's the best horse in the race, and he's going to be fairly treated at the weights as well. You know, you got some horses in here that are going to be having to give away penalties, and he's not badly treated. And I just think 6 to 1, that's a bit of a disrespectful price, and it's a great each way price, I feel, as well, with 4 places on offer. And he's a better horse in this. It's a listed race, the Wolferton Stakes, so he's technically dropping down in class to what he's used to running in, even though this is normally a good race. So Dragonet is going to be the danger, but does he want soft ground? And he's been a bit disappointing ever since really his Chester run. You could argue when he really took the world by storm. I actually put him up that day at Chester. Some of you might remember if you've been following me for that long. But yeah, Regal Reality, think he's got the class edge tomorrow to run a big race, and at 6 to 1, I think that's massive each way value with the 4 places. So for me, he's got the best form on offer. He's going to be my play in the 150 Wolferton Stakes. We then go to the Jersey Stakes, the 225. This is going to be my nap tomorrow. Not original, I know, but I thought King Leonidas, which is named after the former King of Sparta in 300, if you've ever seen that film. He goes for John Gosden and Frankie Dettori tomorrow. Now this horse, I've been really impressed with him so far. I backed him, I remember, on his debut at Newmarket last season, and he was really impressive, really workmanlike and very professional. And then he went to Newmarket for his first start of the season the other week, and he ran really well, and he had to give away a penalty to Eastern World. And that horse, Eastern World, looks like a promising type for Charlie Appleby, and I thought he did really well, and that was over 7 furlongs. And I think he's got a good chance tomorrow. Again, he's in stall 15, so he's going to be on the right side of the track. If Frankie can get him into a good prominent position, I think he'd have too much class for these. I think he could be a potential Group 1 horse in the making later on down the season. Could be running in some really nice races. John Gosden is probably going to be doing his nutting because he's got lots of good 10 furlong horses at the moment, and this could be one of them later on down the line. I could see him getting 10 furlongs. He's by Kingman as well, who is the sire of the moment. And yeah, I think there's definitely more to come. It looks like he's got classy pedigrees out of the Galileo mare as well. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if King Leonidas could go very close. And I think 11-4 is good value. And I think he's the one they've all got to beat tomorrow, in my personal opinion. I think he's the star in this race. and he's going to be my nap of the day. Really strong fancy for him there, and he's just going to be, like I said, a win bet only. We then go to the Chesham, the 3 o'clock, over 7 furlongs, 2-year-old race. Obviously, these 2-year-old races are really hard this year. We've only seen one run from some of them, but the one that caught my eye at the prices was First Profit for James Doyle and Charlie Fellows. Now, if this had been trained by Gosden or Michael Stout or O'Brien, it would be pretty much favourite for the race, but because it's Charlie Fellows, probably a bit of a bigger price. You can get to 8 to 1, and I think that's a great each way price. Now, unlike some of these, he's already run over 7 furlongs, and he ran a great race when he won at Newbury on debut, and he really did hit the line strongly that day. And some of these haven't run up to 7 furlongs yet, and it's normally the first 7 furlong race of the season. This is normally, but obviously they've had to get 7 furlongs out straight away and run this race. But yeah, he's going to be in stall 9 tomorrow, which is actually going to be one of the highest draws. Modern News is one of the favourites, and even though he did well to win on debut at Newmarket, I just like to take him on with a horse like First Profit, who's by a horse called New Bay, who was trained by Andre Fabre in France a few years ago. But he started all right as a first season sire, New Bay. He's had a couple of winners already, and First Profit to me looks a great prospect. Charlie Fellows as well had his first Royal Ascot winner last year with Thanksby, and I think he could have another one here with First Profit, who's currently at 8 to 1. I think that's good each way value, and that's going to be my next tip. We then go in the 3:35, the Gold Cup. Now, this isn't going to be original. We won't dwell too long on this race. Stradivarius is the one they've all got to beat. 8 to 13. I think he's a cracking win bet. He's worth maybe a tenner if you want to win something like 15 quid at 8 to 13. I think he's a solid bet. You know, I think it would just be nice to watch him come home and win his 3rd Gold Cup in a row. He's been a great horse for the game. Been the best stay around for the last 2 years. He did lose his unbeaten streak, however, on Champions Day at Ascot last year to Kew Gardens. But unfortunately, Kew Gardens isn't going to be showing up after maybe, I don't know what the problem was, but I think he suffered a setback, and that's why he's not running. So yeah, there's not much really lurking in here for him tomorrow. Technician could be the danger if the rain did come. Martin Mead has been bullish in his comments, and he is a Group 1 winner in his own right when he won the Royal Oak at Longshot last year. But I normally find when Martin Mead is normally bullish, it doesn't really mean that much. And even though the form is solid, because he did beat Cool the Wind, who went on to win for Freddie Head, French trainer. He went on and won the Saudi Cup in Riyadh earlier in the year, and then he's already won a Group 3 at Deauville. Yeah, I just don't think Technician's that good, in my honest opinion. I think Stradivarius, he's still got the class. He ran a good prep race, I thought, over a trip that was far too short for him in the 3rd, when he finished 3rd in the Coronation Cup at Newmarket. And that was a really high-class renewal with the likes of Anthony Van Dyke and Guyeth, you know, and he definitely wanted further. But he's had that run under his belt. I think this has been the plan all season. And for me, I don't see any dangers for him tomorrow, and I think he's a good solid win bet. We then go to the next race, which is going to be my next best in the 4:10, the Britannia Stakes, a handicap for 3-year-olds. I like these kind of races, but normally we would have seen more runs for some of these. But I thought Finest Sound for Simon and Ned Crisford. You can now put more than one person and have a joint licence now on the trainer's licence. Used to be Simon, but he's now got his son Ed involved on the licence, and they train this horse, Finest Sound, and Andrea Zany is booked for the ride. Now, Simon Crisford, when he was on his own, won this race in 2018 with a horse called Ostilio in the same colours, and this horse fits a similar profile, I thought. Going to be off a mark of 87 tomorrow, and that looks very well. Looks like he's very well in off his penalty. He could definitely be have £10 in hand come the end of the season. He's got a good draw as well in stall 17 towards the middle of the track, so he shouldn't have any problems there. He won very well at Haydock, where he wasn't stopping at the line. And he developed nicely last year, and I think he's by Exceed and Excel, if memory serves me correct. And that sire always has a good record here. Don't ask me why, but it's one of those, if you know your bloodstock work, you always look for Exceed and Excel and these kind of handicaps. Normally ridden by Jamie Spencer, funnily enough, but unfortunately he's injured at the moment. But yeah, Finest Sound he's 5 to 1. I think you can get up to 5 places possibly with some bookmakers, but there are extra places to be had out there. Definitely go and have a look for Finest Sound if you can at 5-1. I think he's a great value. I think he's the most likeliest winner, even though there could be maybe one or two dangers. But for me, I think with connections, they know how to win this race. A good reappearance last time out in his victory at Haydock. He's going to take all the beating for me, and he's going to be my next best. We then go to the 440 with the Sandringham. So we'll start with Loder's Lay here. This is where my lay is going to be coming tomorrow, and then I'll give you my selection of what I like for the single bet. But the lay of the day is going to be African Dream or African Queen, I can't remember, but it's the favourite at the moment, and you can currently lay it for 2.86 on the Betfair exchange. And it is African Queen. I'm just reading my notes. This African Queen, she finished second last time out behind Roger Varian's filly Stylistique, but I don't think that Stylistique is that good, even though she did have some good form from last season when she finished second, I think it was, in the Group 2 Rockfell Stakes at Newmarket, behind Dea and Cloak of Spirits, who did boost the form to finish second in the 1,000 guineas. But yeah, this horse, African Queen, she's going to be very well treated at the weights. Obviously, she's off a mark of 80. She's due to go up £16 in future. That's why she's so well fancied at the head of the market. But in a 17-runner race, do you really want to be taking 7 or 4? In these Ascot handicaps, they're normally a graveyard for favourites, and I think at 2.86 on the Betfair exchange, that's not a bad lay bet, and that's going to be my lay of the day tomorrow. But yeah, she could have a class edge later on in the season, but in a handicap like this, where there's still some unexposed types, even though I will probably be tipping up an exposed horse, yeah, I just think this horse is far too short. And the reason Frankie the Tory isn't on it is because this horse is going to be carrying 8 stone. And Frankie can't do 8 stone anymore. So that's why Kieran O'Neill is booked for the ride. I think Frankie's minimum weight might be like 8-9, maybe possibly 8-7. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but he can't do 8 stone anymore. And that's why Kieran O'Neill's aboard. But the horse I'm going to take it on with anyway is Dubai Love for Frankie the Tory and Saeed bin Suruis. Frankie's been riding for Godolphin in recent times. I think that's because basically because a lot of these lads can't come and ride basically from abroad, and that there's been a lot more top rides for him to come and take, and he's been doing all right, Frankie. This Dubai Love for Saeed bin Suruis ran a couple of times in the UK, but then had a stint out in Maidan in Dubai in the winter and ran okay. We saw her most of the time on dirt. She actually won the UAE 1,000 guineas, which is the listed race. It's not that much of a prestigious race compared to the racing over here, but nonetheless, she's got pattern company form. She's a black type filly. She will have to give away weight to most of the field tomorrow. I believe she is top weight. Yeah, this Dubai Love tomorrow, I think she's got a great chance of going close. She's currently 14-1 with bookmakers at the moment, and with the 5 places on offer with the majority of firms, I do think that's value, and I think her experience will hold her in good steads. And if I would rather back a horse like her than African Queen, even though on paper African Queen has got a lot to like. If African Queen had been 5-1, I've been saying yeah, probably back her. But because she's only, I think she's 7-4, 6-4 in some places, that's ridiculously short. I have not seen a winner of a handicap at Royal Ascot that short for quite some time, and it's not really an angle I want to, I'm willing to take, and I think she is going to be the lay of the day, this African Queen. And Dubai Love, she's already got some of the form in the bag. We know she can stay over further as well. She's run over 9 furlongs. She's going to be doing all her best work late, and she's got a good draw as well in the middle of the track, so there's no worries there, even though she will have to defy a top weight mark of 101. Yeah, there's lots to like about Dubai Love. But yeah, she's going to round things off for tomorrow. So just do a quick recap on tomorrow's tips. We start off in the 115, Golden Gate, Cepheus, Longshot, 25-1, multiple places. I think there's 5 places for Jim Crowley and Brian Meehan. 150 Wolferton Stakes, Regal Reality. There's 4 places out there for Jim Crowley and Sir Michael Stout. In the 225, the Jersey Stakes, King Leonidas, my nap, 11-4, win bet only. In the 3 o'clock, the Chesham Stakes, first profit for James Doyle and Charlie Fallows, 8-1 each way. Stradivarius, 8-13 on. In the Gold Cup for Dettori and Gosden. Next best in the 410 Britannia Stakes, Andrea Azani and Simon and Ed Crisford as my next best at 5-1 each way with multiple places. And then in the 440 Loaders Layer of the day, it's going to be African Queen for 2.86 on the Betfair exchange. And my actual selection for the single side of things is going to be Dubai Love, which is 14-1 with those extra places. And all the extra places, how many places you can get, will be in that description box below. So make sure you check it out. And if you want to get those free bets as well, just remind you again, sign up to it in the description box below. Just click on the link and follow the terms and conditions. And if you are going to do that, please gamble responsibly. So yeah, that's what I've got to say about that. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button for more videos here on my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on social media, where the best place to do so is on my Twitter handle, which is @LuckyLoaders15. You can also check out my website if you wish, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk for a full portfolio of my work. Please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.